Tuesday morning. I'm Stephen McCollum, and you're watching McCollum on Business. As for the next 30 minutes, I'll get you set up on what's happening around the business world. Today, we're just simply waiting for an update. Is there going to be a ceasefire continuing, or is there war going to break out again here with no deal done? Kind of what the market's waiting on. No oil, big jumps today, at least that we've seen this morning after an increase yesterday there as well. So we'll get you updated on that with Market Watch, stocks we're paying attention to, local and national stories that you need to know as well. So let's get into it with that Market Watch. President Trump, I should say, did come out this morning. He said he predicts a deal with Iran before the ceasefire actually expires, which is coming up the next 24 hours. I know it's the evening time. I want to say it's 5 p.m. Phoenix time where we record the show. I believe it's 8 p.m. Eastern coming up tomorrow, Wednesday. So he does predict a deal coming up here. Markets responding favorably to that news here. This morning, Dow Jones right now up 314 points to 49,810. S&P 500 is up to 16 points to 7132. NASDAQ is up 85 points to 24,490. Russell 2K, that small cap index, up 12 points here early this morning, 2811 for the Russell 2K. And then you see Bitcoin basically even. It's going to eat up that 88 down right now with one fell swoop, but 75,526. So Bitcoin's just sticking here. It did go down about 4% over the weekend, got back to 75,000 early in yesterday's trading, and boom, still at 75,000 or 75,779 as of right now for the indexes. Now, for Bitcoin specifically there, but all the indexes is up here today while we're waiting on news to come out. Stocks we're paying attention to. First one we're going to look at, United Health out there. Up this morning, 9.72% here for United Health. Their first quarter earnings and revenue did end up beating analyst expectations. They earned $7.23 per share. Yeah. The expectation was $6.57 per share. Folks, they killed their numbers out there. Right, their revenue was $11.72 billion as well for them. And their revenue, their expectation was $10.57 billion was all their expectation was as well. Obviously, by blowing away their numbers, United Health hiked its full year's earning guidance for United Health as well. So that's why we all got large health increase in health numbers this year, right? Because United Health needs more profit in order to survive, apparently. Blew away their numbers, folks, in the first quarter for them. Next up, we're going to look at Amazon as the next stock that we're going to look at. Obviously, you know Amazon, but, they're in the AI business. If you go to their app, you have the chatbots you can deal with to find stuff. Well, now Amazon's agreeing to invest up to $25 billion in Anthropic, all part of an expanded agreement to build out the AI infrastructure of Anthropic. This comes on top of the $8 billion Amazon has already invested in Anthropic in the recent years. So $8 billion originally, now they're investing another $25 billion moving forward. Now, what does Anthropic get out of it besides a ton of money, right, to continue to grow? Well, they said that it's committed to spending more than $100 billion on Amazon Web Service technologies over the next 10 years. So obviously, Amazon spending a ton of money here, investing in Anthropic. In return, well, they get a business partner here who's going to use their AWS services moving forward. Amazon's up 1.43% based off of this news here this morning. And then big news here for a big tech company, Apple, making some waves yesterday afternoon across the business world. If you didn't hear, well, first of all, their stock is down 0.59% here today. Well, if you didn't hear, they announced that Tim Cook, their current CEO, he's going to step down coming up on September 1st. He's been the chairman ever since Steve Jobs resigned back in 2011 with his health issues. Tim Cook took over, and he's been there a long time, right? Cook will assume the role of executive chairman, though. He will replace He will be replaced by John Turnus. He's an insider in Apple that served as senior vice president of hardware engineering at Apple, taking over the company there as CEO starting September 1st coming up. Big move here for Apple. Obviously, they don't go through CEOs too often, as Tim Cook's been there since 2011 with the growth of that company with jobs before that. So, Apple, keep an eye on them with this new CEO role happening here coming up in September. And then stocks we're going to pay attention to later on when we come back and look at the market watch Tractor Supply. We're going to go to the airline industry, look at Alaska Air Group out there. And then let's look at a home builder, DR Horton specifically. So that's those stocks are coming up for you later on in the program as well. And like I said, the market, we're just kind of sitting around waiting right now for the results. Is there a ceasefire agreement? Is the war going to fire back up again? If there is no agreement, we're all just sitting here waiting, right? So let's go into some other stories while we're waiting for that news to come out. Well, let's go to Maryland here. And I think every state should pass this 100%, no questions asked. Maryland is on track here as of today to become the first state to ban that dynamic pricing, right, is what they're calling it. Specifically, they want to ban it in grocery stores across the state of Maryland. If you know dynamic pricing, if you've done Uber, right, airlines utilize it as well, that allows prices to change based on demand or customer data. You know, so if you just get customer data saying everybody likes this specific product, just naturally raise that price up. When they're in there, or if you see a run, if you're everybody's ringing out Pragu sauce at grocery store, instantly can raise the price on that Pragu sauce there as everybody is buying it. Earlier this month, well, Maryland's legislature passed the Protection from Predatory Pricing Act that was introduced as part of the governor. His name's Wes Moore, by the way, a Democrat, and his legislative agenda. The bill does target a system whereby retailers can use technology to adjust prices throughout the day or even show different prices to different customers. You can go on the app, and I might get a price of $1.50 for something. You might get $2 for something. Somebody else might get 75 cents, right? Specifically, they're more worried about online shopping than they are the price tags on the shelves, although we're seeing some dynamic pricing opportunities on the shelves as well. But they're worried about the online shopping side of things. The lawmakers there in Maryland said the goal is to prevent that type of pricing from being used in grocery stores in that state. Now, the governor said last week he's excited to sign the new bill as it's passed the legislature. Now, consumers are saying right now, should be a shocker, grocery costs are stretching the budgets. And the legislature and the governor there in Maryland have warned that without regulation, shoppers could end up paying different prices for the same items. And you'll never know it. That's the problem with the system. Some shoppers, out there, they wanted this to pass in Maryland. Like I said, this should pass in every state. Grocery store pricing should be fixed for everybody the same. But obviously, shoppers say this bill could make grocery costs more predictable, which is what you need. You don't want to sit there and you have limited funds. You don't get paid until Friday. You have a family of four. Your gas prices have just sucked that budget out of you. And you just want to go buy some spaghetti noodles. You have $2 to buy it. You show up at the grocery store and those noodles are now $3 because dynamic pricing. They show that you need it, so they raise that price up on you because it's a thing, and that's just awful. So you need the predictability of grocery prices as well moving forward. So Maryland making that move. We'll see if it spreads throughout the rest of the country. And now we got an update for you here on that Nexstar and Tegna merger. Now, keep in mind the Department of Justice has already approved this merger, but that federal judge that we told you last week was extending the restraining order, meaning the temporary order there to block the deal. Well, he's officially made that restraining order more permanent now. That federal judge has blocked that merger. And by the way, $6.2 billion merger between Nexstar and Tegna until an antitrust lawsuit is resolved. So they can't merge until the lawsuit is done. So this comes out of Sacramento from a federal judge. He made the ruling late over the weekend, or I believe it was Friday night, but it was Friday night or over the weekend. He found that 8 attorneys generals and DirecTV were likely to prevail in their legal bid to stop the merger. Now, remember, this deal was announced last year, and I told you it was approved by the SEC and the DOJ as well recently. It's going to create a company that owns 265 television stations in 44 states, and then also a of Columbia. Most of them local affiliates, and they control all of them, right? A lot of them are ABC, CBS, Fox, NBC as well. I know they have CW in there and some other networks, but most of them are one of the big four affiliates. So the judge had already issued that emergency order blocking the deal for 3 weeks. So we heard the arguments over whether the block should be extended until a lawsuit brought by the attorney generals in these 8 states and DirecTV is resolved. Well, he did agree that it should wait until that point. So the attorney generals, interesting enough, all of them are Democrats that put this lawsuit out there. Obviously, DirecTV has an invested interest in this as well, but they say that the merger will lead to higher prices for consumers, stifle local journalism, and the deal does, they say, run afoul of those federal laws designed to protect against monopolies. There's all these broadcasting rules on how many stations you can own in a market, etc., out there. That's they're kind of becoming lax rules, but they are still out there. Nexstar, no surprise here, did say that they will appeal the ruling here of the merger not going through until the antitrust lawsuit does get settled. So there's your update on that. And I've never had this place. I've never gone to this place. I certainly won't now. I made a vow about a year or so ago to avoid companies that have been bought by private equity. All of a sudden, prices shoot through the roof, quality goes down. I've never eaten at Jersey Mike's, but I've seen a lot of stuff online about this, right? But now Jersey Mike's, they've uh, confidentiality, they've confidentially filed for an initial public offering. They announced this on Monday. Now, this is part of the process to have an IPO, folks, is what they're doing. The announcement, well, it comes more than a year after Blackstone, that private equity company, bought a majority stake in Jersey Mike's. That was a deal valued at about $8 billion, if you remember. We talked about that here at McCollum on Business. And the original owner, the founder of it, is still running that company. But after that Blackstone deal closed, Jersey Mike's, well, they got former Wingstop CEO to help to come in and run Jersey Mike's. Well, he did run Wingstop for a bunch of years, about 10, I think, as well. Now, what he did then when he ran that, and they had their own IPO and a huge growth period, and now they're hoping Jersey Mike's has the same success with this new leader. So more than 3,000 locations nationwide, Jersey Mike's is the second largest sandwich chain in the U.S. Well, it's right behind Subway, interesting enough. Jersey Mike's reported revenue of $309.8 million in 2025, up 10.6% from the prior year. Yeah, no shocker. Private equity bottom. They want to squeeze every penny out of these places, and it doesn't benefit the consumer when they do this as well. They also reported net income of 183.6 million in 2025. That was actually down from the prior year's net income amount for them. So this confidential filing is the first step for Jersey Mike's to be publicly traded. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to go that route. They're just starting the process to get there. But if they do go public here with an IPO, it'll be the first IPO since BlackRock Coffee Bar's offering happened last September. IPOs right now, not going stellar on the market. Now, that's going to change this year with SpaceX's IPO coming up. That's going to be the best and most positive IPO in the history of IPOs, and by a large margin. So keep in mind there for Jersey Mike's. If you like Jersey Mike's, I've never had it. Is it good? Hit me up. 623-252-6670 on the text line. On SMAC 500 on Twitter, my personal handle as well. And just let me know. Is Jersey Mike's worth visiting? Like I said, I tend to avoid private equity owned companies. Try to, at least. And I can't be for sure of that. But let me know. BMW doing some interesting things in car modeling and car building. Now we know BMW Group has spent a lot of years testing automation and building their cars. But they've done something a little bit different here, right? We've seen this. If you've seen any video of car manufacturers and making, you always see those robotic arms that are kind of locked in place and the arms just move and, you know, weld something and then go away. Well, of course, BMW uses that as well, but they've now started using humanoid robots that move through factories. These are the ones on the 2 feet, folks. Yeah, they move like humans. After a successful pilot over there in their South Carolina plant, BMU is bringing that same idea to its Germany factory, where over there it's testing robots in real production environments. Excuse me, clear my throat. This time, well, it's partnering with Hexagon Robotics to introduce new generation of AI-powered machines. Unlike many robot demos you see online, well, this one's already being tested in that real production environment in Germany. BMW's earlier pilot, there in South Carolina, it used Figure O2 humanoid robots. They did one specific task. They handled the positioning of sheet metal that has to be precise, by the way, for welding on the BMW X3 production lines. That task, so that's all he did. Now that there you go, well, that's all it did. But that task alone plays the key role in keeping production moving smoothly. It has to be precise in its spot, or else they have to stop the line, adjust it, etc. Precision work specifically is what these robots are being looked at to use here. But if this precision work does get messed up or just off by just a millisecond, millimeter, I should say, it can slow things down and create bottlenecks in the production side of these world for these companies. So, according to BMW, these robots help contribute to building more than 30,000 vehicles there in South Carolina. So it was obviously a success in their eyes. Well, now BMW feels confident about expanding the concept, as I said, over to the Germany side and allowing them to do other things. So instead of limited testing at one plant, BMW is moving forward with its iFactory initiative over there in Germany. That's where EV production is a major focus for BMW. So these new robots, they're called Aeon, AEON. They come from the Hexagon Robotics company. They're designed to work inside factory locations and environments, specifically active factory environments, without constant human direction. They rely on AI based motion control that helps them move through complex spaces. But at the same time, built in sensors allow them to understand their surroundings in real time, and then they can adjust their actions on the fly instead of following fixed instructions. Basically, they're becoming more and more human, folks. Hexagon refers to this as physical AI, is what the robotics company calls it. So basically, the robot can make decisions based on what it sees around it and what is happening around it. So the robot does not stop when something unexpected happens. Nope, it actually adapts, keeps working consistently, doesn't need breaks, doesn't need coffee breaks. So that this is obviously a big upgrade here in robotics. It's a clear shift from the traditionally factory automation that we've seen in the automotive side of the world. So AI robots starting to take over building plants as well. And obviously labor is a big problem, especially on the union side of things. So you get robots. Wouldn't that be funny if the robots unionized someday? Kind of back shares on everything. Here's an update for you as well. And not an update specifically, but kind of an update to these lawsuits coming against rideshare companies, Uber, Lyft. We already know Uber lost a big one over in California, big sum of money there. Basically, what the drivers are doing is Uber and Lyft, for instance, liable for it. Well, another jury here has found that Uber is liable for the behavior of a driver who grabbed the inner thigh of a passenger as she was leaving the front seat of his car, and he asked if he could keep her with him. Yes, Uber drivers, stop being creepy, please. A jury in North Carolina this time found Uber liable for it. So it's a federal jury. It was in Charlotte. They awarded the plaintiff $5,000 in damages. So a lot less, I should say, than the previous case over in California. So now these are all what they call bellwether cases. They're cases testing the marketplace and basically letting Uber know if they should fight these lawsuits because there's about 3,000 plus of them out there that we know of or potentially out there. Should Uber fight them? Should they settle them? Kind of what they're looking at here. Now they've lost two of them, right? But this is all part of the broader group of sexual assault lawsuits filed against Uber, multiple jurisdictions and cities around the country. This was the third one to go to trial. Now, and I'm sorry, I said California. That was an Arizona trial. Remember, that was the $8.5 million to the woman where the driver raped her during a trip, her Uber trip to her hotel room. Then that was the big one. This one's only a $5,000 settlement in North Carolina, which Uber makes note of here in their what they talked about afterwards. So you had the one in Arizona for 8.5 million. The California one actually found Uber not liable for the assault of the rider over in California. So I apologize earlier. I had the the court stuff separate here as well. Uber, well, they did take note of that relatively small financial judgment there in this North Carolina case, only $5,000 as opposed to 8.5 million here in Arizona. And they also made note of the jury finding that battery had occurred, but not sexual assault specifically, is what the jury had said. So the verdict, well, it bodes well for other plaintiffs that want to have these types of lawsuits against Uber. Well, it's because Uber, not the plaintiffs, basically Uber chose North Carolina, not the plaintiffs here, as a test case for the broader group of pending lawsuits. So Uber thought they would come out beneficial by being in North Carolina, and that turned out not to be the case. Even though Uber's focusing on the $5,000 small settlement there or jury award, still a loss for Uber there moving forward. So we'll have to see if more of these lawsuits continue to move forward. When we come back here at McCollum on Business here on this Tuesday edition, well, Axon, we found out, maybe did we find out how that got passed up there for their headquarters? Yeah, not shouldn't shock you what happens out there in the world. Obviously, some money got moved around. We have updates on that for you. Hey, you ever wanted a meatball lollipop? Yeah, I got one coming up for you as well out there in the world. We're gonna get you that info, and then Red Lobster. You like to eat a lot for a lesser price? Well, we'll tell you about that at Red Lobster as well. Come on back, Tuesday's edition. Call them on business. And we're back here, McCollum on Business Tuesday edition. Of course, we're here 7 a.m. Programming note for you out there. I appreciate you watching us, whether you watch us on Robot TV Live or if you watch us on YouTube on demand, TME Media AZ, where you can find us on YouTube. Follow us on X as well, TME Media AZ. We put our promotions up there and tell you what we do as a company. We produce a lot of programming out there. Of course, McCollum on Business. The main event, which comes up next, live 8 to 10 a.m. here at Robot TV. on demand afterwards. The Real Matrix that you can find on Rumble every Friday. Rumble.com/user/TME media is where you can find that as well. We obviously put out the free podcast for all of the shows except for this one. The Pit Stop, Wednesdays, we go look back at the racing around the world, NASCAR and IndyCar. Last weekend, we look back and then we look ahead to this weekend's racing as well. For IndyCar, well, the focus turns towards Indianapolis here as we are getting closer to the Indianapolis 500 a month and at the end of May. And, so all of that's out there. Go to TME Media AZ on YouTube, catch all of our on demand stuff. Rumble.com/user/TME Media. That's where you can also find it on Rumble for those of you that like that. The Real Matrix, the only one that's on Rumble only, not on YouTube. Everything else that we produce, that we put out, is on both of those sites out there. And don't forget, this Thursday night is the NFL draft. How big of an NFL fan are you? Well, most people pay attention to the draft. Well, we're having a draft show coming up this Thursday night. The draft was starting at 4:30. I got to learn to do math here. It's 8 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. our time here. We're going to go live on YouTube and here at Robat TV about 4:30, 4:45 here coming up on Thursday. So come and join us. Me, Bruce Cooper, who is at home this week. I talked to him yesterday. He is getting ready for this draft show like nobody's business. He's coming in with all of the knowledge. So watch the draft and mute the draft and listen to our analysis here as we watch the first round of the draft here with me, Bruce Cooper, of course, Channel 12, local legend range with all of his Emmys coming and joining us. And then Del Hillestray will be here as well, of course, has his own draft experience and 17-year NFL veteran, all having fun. And maybe some special guests joining us. We're waiting on. We got some commitments, but there's some other things have to happen from them. But if not, it's going to be a fantastic Thursday night show coming your way for the draft here this Thursday. Come and join us, would you? Of course, on YouTube as well there, TME Media AZ. And folks, today, no Bruce Cooper this week until Thursday night. Like I said, he's getting ready for the draft. So today, me and 17-year NFL veteran Del Hillestray will get you updated on the sports world around that with the main event coming up live 8 to 10 a.m. here on Robat TV. And with all that being said, let's get right back into that Market Watch. I apologize for my voice here today, folks. Look, I got something stuck in my throat, so I do apologize. But right now, Dow Jones up 194 points. S&P 500's up to 13 points. Nasdaq's up 85 points right now. The Russell 2K's up to 22 points 16 points for that small cap index there. And then you got Bitcoin. Well, see, I told you it was going to go from negative to positive. It has done that, but it's gotten over the 76,000 threshold, 76,145 for Bitcoin here today. And I told you earlier what's happening here. Well, it's pretty simple. Everybody's waiting to find out if there's going to be a ceasefire agreement here over there in Iran, or if war is going to break out, is what we are looking at right now. This morning, the new federal chairman pick here. His name's Kevin Warsh. Well, he's doing his confirmation hearings there in front of as the senators and everything. And I don't know how well it's going because we're on air here, but I do see some big headlines here. Apparently, Senator Warren is out there causing some headlines right now with her blasting, as depending on which way you look at it here, of him being nominated. So we'll have to see if that rankles the market at all. If he does or does not get, approved, I guess I should say, to go on the federal chairman's board there as well. And then, don't forget, companies can now apply for their tariff refunds. I know there's been some glitches in this computer system to do it. Some companies have said out there, but that is happening right now as well. And, well, with stocks we're paying attention to, we're going to go and look at some Tractor Supply. If you don't know them, a rural lifestyle, you can buy hay there, farming stuff, things like that. Well, they posted earnings and revenue. Not good. Disappointing expectations. And that's why they're down 8.39% here today. Their first quarter earnings were 31 cents per share. Well, the expectation was 34 cents per share for them. Their revenue came in at $3.59 billion. That missed expectations of $3.63 billion as well. So no shocker here, right? Farmers we know are struggling and things to that effect. And Tractor Supply Company down 8.50% based off of their announcements there. Alaska Air Group's the next stock that we're going to look at here. We're going to look at some airlines. Well, this airline specifically is down 1.29%. We know the biggest expense after labor for airlines, oil prices, and obviously airline fuel, right? Well, they pulled their 2026 forecast yesterday, all because of the uncertainty around fuel cost here for these airlines. So, in their first quarter, Alaska Air lost $1.68 per share. The estimates were expected to be $1.35 per share. So, big losses here, right? 33 cents difference here in loss for Alaska Air Group. Both losses, but one obviously bigger than the expectation. The revenue came in at $3.3 billion. The closer here, the expectation was $3.31 billion for them. And then they pulled their forecast as well. Well, Alaska Air Group is down 1.13% here today based off of those announcements. And then you've got DR Horton, right? One home builder to give us an idea of what they're going through. They're up 7.33% today. Their fiscal second quarter earnings were $2.24 per share. Their expectation was only $2.15 per share. It blew that out of the water, but their revenue did not blow anybody out of the water. Yeah, they came in at $7.56 billion in revenue. Well, the forecasted amount was $7.60 billion. So they did come underneath the revenue side. So, we've seen some mixed results here on the home building side. Now some mixed results on the airline side here. It's all based around, right? Lumber, building materials here for DR Horton, labor expenses, and then, of course, for the airlines, fuel prices, etc. for them as well. So something to keep an eye on as we continue to move forward in this economy, especially with this Iran war situation happening out there. Now, let's go up to Scottsdale here, folks. If you guys remember the Axon deal for the headquarters, it did eventually pass. It's not over. There's still a lawsuit going on from that Taze group is suing for this to stop happening still. But now we know Axon executives, they gave tens of thousands of dollars in campaign cash to the lawmakers that pushed through the legislation last year, to get Axon to build that new headquarters in Scottsdale. Yeah. Grease some palms there, right? So in 2025, there was a bipartisan coalition of lawmakers approved that bill. It was Senate Bill 1543, if you remember. It had basically negated that citizen referendum that sought to block Axon. The referendum, by the way, was in Scottsdale, but that referendum blocked Axon from constructing their campus up there in North Scottsdale. Specifically, the apartments were the biggest concern with that group. So now we know, according to state campaign finance records, Axon executives funded a new political action committee there in 2025. Right? They called it the Arizonans for Better Future. They funded it with $1.1 million as well. So you know what's coming. $500,000 of that $1.1 million, it came from the company itself, Axon. $500,000 came from the owner. His name's Rick Smith of Axon as well. Axon's current president, Josh Eisner, contributed $100,000. The chief legal officer, he gave $20,000 to get up to that $1.1 million. Then the Arizonans for a Better Future PAC, well, it spent around $567,000 of that money over the past year. And like I said, all this is from legal filings. Most of that $567,000, about $500,000 of it, paid for the voter education, polling communications, and other campaign-related expenses. Well, then the rest of it. This is where you get interested here, folks, and pay attention here. It's how your government works when toughness comes about. 67,000. Yeah, it went to campaign coffers for the lawmakers who actually voted for the bill. Campaign's finance reports show the Axon PAC gave contributions of about $500 to $5,000 to 52 Republican and Democratic lawmakers all across the the Arizona Congress, right, House and Senate, who voted for the bill. So $5,000, for instance, went to Rep. Tony Rivero. He's a Republican out of Peoria. He sponsored the bill, and he was asked to sponsor it for Axon's request. Yeah, they gave $500 to a campaign for James. I'm going to screw up this name. I apologize. Uh, Jamesita Peshlakia. She's a former state lawmaker. She's actually not seeking reelection, but her mother, yeah, Representative May Paslakia, a Democrat out of Cameron, Arizona, is currently a member of the Arizona House and voted for the Axon bill, but did not receive a donation for voting for it moving forward. So, mom, you know, good judgment. Daughter, not so much. Also, the Smith at the Axon's CEO at the time, or currently, I should say, he made a direct $5,500 contribution to Alma Hernandez, that representative out of Tucson, a Democrat. And he made a direct contribution to House Majority Leader Michael Carbone, who's a Republican out of Buckeye. That was a $500 contribution. Yes. They also received contributions from the PAC as well, Arizonans for a Better Future as well. So that's how the bill got passed, folks. A little greasing of the palms out there. Although we do know as well through this, the governor, Katie Hobbs, obviously signed the bill into a law. She did not receive any contributions, through this public funding either as well. Yeah. Either from people directly to Axon or the PAC. No donations to the governor out there. But the CEO did contribute another $4,000 to Congressman David Schweikert. Yeah. He's looking for that governorship. He's running for the Republican seat there, running for a Republican there for the governor's side as well. Now, like I said, it's not over for Axon. That Taxpayers Against Awful Apartment Zoning Exemptions, that TAZE group, well, they are still suing to block the referendum and block the company from building that out there. But some palms were greased, folks, here for that bill in order to pass. And, of course, that's the way the government works. I understand that. It just looks slimy. And, of course, every legislature out there that took some money is going to say, well, I didn't vote for it because they gave me money. Whatever. That's how it passed, Scottsdale. Hey, Honeywell Aerospace up here in Phoenix. They're going to begin manufacturing engines here in Phoenix for aircrafts designed to train Navy pilots. Yeah, they made this announcement yesterday. Now, these engines will power the Beechcraft M346N aircrafts. Well, that's what Beechcraft hopes to secure that Navy contract for in 2027. Excuse me. The Navy plans to procure more than 200 aircraft. So if the Beechcraft M346N is selected to train pilots, well, the contract to be obviously a big deal here for the Phoenix operation of Honeywell here in Phoenix. Honeywell Aerospace, if you remember, is splitting off from regular Honeywell this year. They said it will assemble the F-124 GA200 engines on site here in Phoenix. So there you go. Now, the Honeywell Aviation did pledge last month, we told you about this, $500 million. So they want to expand its defense and manufacturing capabilities here in Phoenix as well. So now, these specific aircrafts and engines, well, the F-124 and the F-125 engines, and in the family of them, they've flown more than 1.5 million hours in military service, both coastal and desert environments worldwide. And so they want to continue to make them. Big thing here for Honeywell, of course, Aerospace, that's splitting off from Honeywell this year. Big start here if the Beechcraft can get that contract here for 2027 as well. So some good signs here for a new company splitting off. And then, folks, we always end the show like we like to do here with a little bit of food talk. You like endless shrimp? Well, Red Lobster said they weren't going to bring it back, remember? Well, now they're bringing it back. Endless Shrimp promotion. Well, it started Monday. It's marking a surprising revival of one of the most recognizable all-you-can-eat offerings that have ever existed. It's certainly the most talked about over time. So it will return for a limited time at select locations. So check with your local Red Lobster if it's still open. So, one Red Lobster location actually told Fox Business because I was looking for the pricing. One Red Lobster location told Fox Business this new endless deal will be priced at $24.99 per person. Well, if you remember back in 2024, it was $20 per person at that time as well. So not a huge price increase as well. So, uh, you know, other locations that they've seen in terms of the promotion stuff, some of them are priced at $29.99. So it's going to be in that range depending on the location. USA Today was reporting the $29.99 price. Fox Business the $24.99. Five different shrimp varieties, including a new flavor, by the way, will be offered with a choice of a side, as usual, with this promotion. The new flavor is called Marry Me Shrimp. Shrimp and tomato cream sauce and a garlic and herb crumble topping. Then you've got the old favorites here shrimp linguine Alfredo. That, of course, is shrimp and Alfredo sauce over linguine. Pretty self explanatory. Walt's favorite shrimp. Whoever Walt is, he has favorite shrimp. Hand breaded and lightly fried butterflied shrimp served with cocktail sauce. Garlic shrimp scampi, shrimp sauteed in a garlic lemon butter sauce. Then you got the Parrot Isle coconut shrimp. According to the Red Lobster release, hand breaded jumbo coconut shrimp served with pina colada sauce. If you remember, this deal was widely blamed and discontinued back in 2024. It basically was the factor they claimed in the company's big financial loss ahead of its bankruptcy filing in 2024, and then eventually led to the closure of 130 restaurants throughout the United States. So the company, as I told you, said they would never bring it back. It killed us. We're never bringing it back. Strong customer demand. And by the way, you have a voice, folks. Recent surge in engagement on social media have led Red Lobster to bring it back here now as well. Yes. The previous endless shrimp offering, as I told you, was $20. It was a permanent fixture in 2023 until it went away in 24 with the bankruptcy filing. But it was brought out over 20 years before that intermittently, then was permanent in 23 as well. Huge marketing success. But then, like I said, they got blamed. There was other reasons they filed for bankruptcy. It had to do with real estate and private equity company buying them and just sucking the money out of them. Kind of a deal, but they blamed that side. The endless shrimp, by the way, accounted for $11 million of the company's $76 million net loss in 2023. But like I said, a lot of other reasons it was leading to that as well with the way like the shrimp supplier owned the company at one time and of course raised the price of the shrimp to make more money on the shrimp side. And so there's a lot of other factors, but it was blamed for it. Coming back here right now for you with with the one new flavor and the old ones as well. And then IKEA put out an April Fool's joke, and it was so reported, and so many people wanted to see it happen. And now IKEA, yes, you're gonna get a Swedish meatball and lingonberry flavored lollipop coming to IKEA stores this summer. And for those of you that are vegan, it's gonna be vegan as well for you coming up. Yes, created with Chupa Chups. It's going to be a limited edition lollipop, as well. So sometimes April Fool jokes become reality if you, as I said, you have a voice on social media, folks, is what we're learning today. Overwhelming positive response to the flavor pairing on that April Fool's joke that they put out there. The candy is going to appear in hundreds of IKEA stores starting in June. Now I said limited supply coming up as well for you here with us. I mean, good luck to you. Let me know how that is. I'm not going to try it, but let me know how it is. I'm curious. So this announcement came out. They say this collaboration between the two companies fits in perfectly with IKEA's focus on cooking and eating. That's been a year-long initiative where IKEA highlights how food plays a role in creating joyful, shared moments in everyday life out there as well. So June is when it's coming out. They say 1 million lollipops will be produced and distributed to stores worldwide in June. Here's the other side of it. You're not going to be able to buy them. No, folks. They're doing a step farther. 1 million of these lollipops free. You'll be able to taste them for free while while visiting an IKEA store coming up this summer. Free. You just gotta go walk the store and you can try one of these bad boys as well. So there you go. Now they say check with the IKEA store ahead of time or social media for more information about the testing times and tasting times and when they'll be available to taste test them. Coming up, folks. Should have swapped those stories. The endless shrimp sounds way better than that to me. But hey, there we go. IKEA lovers, meatball lovers, lollipop coming your way this summer. Hey, folks, we're going to wrap up this McCollum on business here on those news. Of course, on this Tuesday. Programming note tomorrow, McCollum on business will be at 11 o'clock tomorrow as well, live. Of course, I got something I got to take care of in the morning at 7 o'clock. I have a conference call that I cannot get out of. So we're going to push the show. So tomorrow will be the main event, 8 to 10. McCollum on business at 11. And then, of course, right after that, the pit stop tomorrow as well. So come and join us tomorrow here at the 11 o'clock time. We'll see you then. And like I said, follow TME Media AZ as well. We'll put the promotions up there on the schedule changes as they occur out there. So join us there on X for just the updates. But we'll see you tomorrow, 11 o'clock, and then back to our normal time on Thursday there, 7 a.m. Come and join us. We'll see you then, everyone. And see you over at the main event here in just a few minutes. Have a great afternoon.